Sure, Prabhu.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Narayanam Namaskrityam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudiraet.
Tato Jayamudiraet.
Nashtaprayasu Abhadresu.
Nashtaprayesu Abhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttamasloke.
Bhagavati Uttama-shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, titled The Divine and Demoniac Natures. And today's verse number is 23. Yasastra vidhim utsarya.
Yasastra vidhim
utsarja.
Vartate kamakarate taha.
Vartate kamakarataha.
Nasa siddhim apnonoti.
Nasa siddhim avapnoti.
Nasukham na param gatim.
Nasukham na param gatim.
Yasastra vidhim utsarya.
Yasastra vidhim utsarja.
Vartate kamakarata.
Vartate kamakarataha.
Nasa siddhim avapnoti.
Nasa siddhim avapnoti.
Nasukham na param gatim.
Nasukham na param gatim.
Yasastra vidhim utsarya.
Yasastra vidhim utsarja.
Vartate kamakarata.
Vartate kamakarataha.
Nasa siddhim avapnoti.
Nasa siddhim avapnoti.
Nasukham na param gatim.
Nasukham na param gatim.
Any Prabhuji, Mataji?
Yasastra vidhim utsrajya.
Yasastra vidhim utsarya.
Vartate kamakarata.
Vartate kamakarata.
Nasiddhim avapnoti.
Nasa siddhim avapnoti.
Nasukham na param gatim.
Nasukham na param gatim. Anyone else?
Yah shastra vidhim utsarja.
Yasastra vidhim utsarya.
Vartate kamakarataha.
Vartate kamakarata.
Nasa siddhim avapnoti.
Nasa siddhim avapnoti.
Na sukham na parangatim.
Nasukham na param gatim.
Word by word meaning. Yeah, anyone who.
Yah anyone who.
Shastra vidhim, the regulations of the scriptures.
Shastra vidhim, the regulations of the scriptures.
Utsarya, giving up.
Utsarya, giving up.
Vartate, remains.
Vartate, remains.
Kamakarata,
Kamakarata.
acting whimsically in lust.
Acting whimsically in lust.
Na, never.
Never.
Sa, he.
He.
Siddhim, perfection.
Siddhim, perfection.
Avapnoti, achieves.
Avapnoti, achieves.
Na, never.
No, never.
Sukham, happiness.
Sukham, happiness.
Na, never.
No, never.
Param, the supreme.
Param, the supreme.
Gatim, perfectional stage.
Gatim,
perfectional stage.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
He who discards
he who
discards
spiritual injunctions
spiritual injunctions
and acts according to his own whims
and acts according to his own whims
attains neither perfection
attains neither perfection
nor happiness
nor happiness
nor the supreme destination.
nor the supreme
destination.
Anyone would like to read the purport by His Divine Grace?
As described before, the Shastra Vidhi or the direction of the Shastra is given to the different castes and orders of human society. Everyone is expected to follow these rules and regulations. If one does not follow them and acts whimsically according to his lust, greed, and desire, then he never will be perfect in his life. In other words, a man may theoretically know all these things, but if he does not apply them in his own life, then he is to be known as the lowest of mankind. In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane and to follow the regulations given for elevating his life to the highest platform. But if he does not follow them, then he degrades himself. But even if he follows the rules and regulations and moral principles and ultimately does not come to the stage of the understanding the Supreme Lord, then all his knowledge becomes spoiled. And even if he accepts the existence of God, if he does not engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. Therefore, one should gradually raise himself to the platform of Krishna consciousness and devotional service. It is then and there that he can attain the highest perfectional stage, not otherwise.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for reading the purport. Let's all chant together. Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapata Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Nirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadgaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Savanusute Devi Pranamami Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Sindhu Vaivacha Dhanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nilachal Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhya Jagannathaya Te Namo. So thank you so much for joining this Sangha. So it's a very powerful verse, and Krishna is spending a lot of time explaining the demoniac natures so that we understand what kind of manual we should lead our life towards, what kind of manual we should read in our life so that we lead a life full of bliss, perfection, and happiness. So if you go to the 4 verses, 4 subverses. Yasastra vidhimutsharya. That means one who discards spiritual injunction. So spiritual injunction is there in scriptures. And if somebody is trying to discard the spiritual injunction from the scriptures, then, and if he vartate kamakarata, that means if he acts according to his own whims, kama means full of lustful kama, if he acts according to his lustful kama, nasa siddhim avnoti, that means he neither attains. Krishna is using this neither nor situation here, and he's saying he neither attains perfection, and the fourth line he says nasukham na param gatik, that means neither he attains perfection, and in the fourth line he says nor happiness nor liberation. Param gatim is liberation, and sukham means happiness. And this is very reflective of the way we lead our life in terms of the kind of manual we should lead our life towards. So this is a very beautiful verse. If you really want to ponder about what is right, what is wrong, you realize that sometimes we think based on our understanding, based on our consciousness, we end up saying something is good, something is bad. But what is good or what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, is all driven by the will of our Supreme Father. Let's say, for example, you having consciousness, you steal something from some shop, and the cameras catches us, and there'll be punishment because the consciousness at which you end up executing the duty which is bestowed upon you, you did not follow the right manual to lead your life. However, if you compare that with the dealings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was stealing butter, but still he was recognized as Makhan Chor, and we take the canvas picture from our temple, the big canvas picture, we pay hundreds of dollars to put the Makhan Chor picture of Krishna in our living rooms. But at the same time, a person who has stolen something from a departmental store, he goes through the process as defined by the legal department of the respective state or country or whatever the case may be. So as you can see, the ability to mention right or wrong or good or bad is primarily driven by the consciousness and what is being told to us by the scriptures or the pastimes of the Lord. So that's why what we want to do in our life here, it's mentioned Shastra Vidhim. So that means, say for example, you buy a car and you buy a Corolla or you buy a Civic or Accord, and you go and you put the regular 87 oil, unleaded oil, and it works. And it works 5 years, 10 years. After that, you get a Passat or you get a Benz or whatever it may be. Then you don't read the manual of the Passat, Volkswagen Passat, or the manual of the Mercedes-Benz. And you just go with the same whimsical way how you have led your life by driving a Corolla or Civic or Accord or Camry. And you go and you put regular oil, 87 unleaded. The car will run for few 100 miles and it will die because the car is supposed to run on Supreme or 93 as it is called here. The car is not going to run with the regular oil. And the only mistake you did is you believed your whims and you discard the manual and you put regular oil, because that was through your upbringing, through your conditioning, you have felt that for 5 years, 10 years, my Corolla, my Civic, my Accord, my Camry ran beautifully for 250,000 miles with regular oil. So you discard the Passat, Volkswagen Passat manual, or you discarded the Mercedes-Benz manual, and you threw it and you put regular. The car, the $50,000 car you brought is throwaway because the engine is gone. This is what this verse is talking about, that if you discard the supreme manual of your life, which is nothing but the scriptures, then you can neither be perfect in your dealings, in your consciousness, nor you'll get happiness, nor you get liberation. So that, in a sense, is the topic of this conversation. So the Shastra Vidhi here refers to direction of Shastras, which are essential injunctions prescribed for different castes and orders for gradual spiritual elevation. But actually, these are not necessarily the caste. Krishna gradually mentions that it is not a caste system, it is a varnashram, wherein Krishna mentions in chapter 4, Chaturvarna Maya Shreshtam Guna Karma Vibhagasa, based on your guna, based on your nature, and based on your karma, deeds. Krishna has divided into Chaturvarnam, the 4 varnas, and Tasya Kartaram Apima Vidhi Akartaram Avyayam. That means according to the modes of material nature, wherein the mode of goodness is typically a Brahminical way of doing things, a mode of passion with can lead you to more to the Kshatriya, wherein you protect the kingdom, and with a bit of a mode of passion and ignorance, you try to create business, try to create services, and try to foster accounting. And that is where, after Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya is there. And then with more of ignorance, lot more of ignorance, the Shudras, who are essentially cleaning cleaning different aspect of the society, is there. So it's purely based on guna and karma. There is no family lineage in this. So whenever we think a person is born with a surname and you carry the same surname subsequently, it doesn't let you the rights to be that particular strata of Varnashram just because you're born from a familial lineage. So the guna karma is purely based on your nature and based on the work you do. You're basically categorized as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And that is very clearly mentioned and followed in a society which is called International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So it is not by virtue of your birth you are made a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or Shudra. So it is purely based on your deeds. And that is where it should not be referred as caste, it's varnashram. And everyone is supposed to follow these rules. So the purpose of scriptural rules is rules are meant for gradual elevation of higher perfectional stage of devotional service. That means you basically grow in your acquisition of greater consciousness, and with the acquisition of greater consciousness, you elevate yourself in the varnashram. And one may theoretically know all these things, but if you do not apply this in your life by being regulated, then it is not good for anything. So we should know See, whenever we do something, everything, when we're kids, everything we had belongs to our father. And every time we go to school, our father does everything to us, and he takes care of our upbringing, takes care of our education, takes care of our food and day-to-day needs. But on the day of Father's Day, when we accumulate the pocket money he has given us and give him a return gift, that pleases the Father. Even if everything belongs to him, it gives happiness to the Father, because that's the kind of offering we have for the Father, which is recognized. Sometimes you will recognize the Father will be playing, the Father is very strong. But sometimes the child will try to give the child will be small and he will try to give a punch to the father. And just to satisfy the child, the father will absorb the punch and will appear as if the kid has overtaken the father. So that intent is nothing but a reciprocation of love exchanged between two parties. The Father's Day example and the situation when the father is playing with the kid. So the mutual giving of happiness is nothing but arousing that sense of love. And in the mood of giving love to someone, if you end up doing some service, that gives happiness to all the parties in this picture. So this devotional service, what we're talking about, devotional service is nothing but an expression of love to the Supreme Father. And the Supreme Father has everything. By giving a pound of apple or giving 2 pounds of oranges and some bananas, he's not going to be rich overnight. He has everything. But when you give that with a sense of love, the Supreme Father becomes happy, exactly like everything the father has belongs to the child. And with the child accumulating the pocket money, giving that little gift to the father gives the Supreme Father a lot of happiness. And that reciprocation is nothing but bhakti. So in this sense, anything which pleases, what pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The Supreme Personality of Godhead has created this manual, the scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vedas, and various different scriptures like Chaitanya Charitamrita, where the pastimes of the Lord has been explained beautifully. And if you take some message, take some morale from that and lead your life, that will give the Lord happiness. So Krishna in 23, verse number 23 in this verse, he's saying, if you discard that manual, if you discard that spiritual injection, and you lead the life in your own whims, then you can neither receive perfection, nor happiness, nor liberation. So this example is very prevalent everywhere. Whenever a demoniac personality, they will not follow the scriptures, they will burn the scriptures, they will follow the scriptures in a way which is convenient to them. So there will be all kind of messages which will come from the scriptures, which is not favorable to our growing the conscious. So the intent of following the scripture eventually at the end of the day is to serve the Lord. Even if he accepts the existence of God, if he doesn't engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. And then the acting of whimsically is also elaborated. One who knowingly violates the rule, acting in lust. Essentially, this example is pretty much reflected in when you try to drive at 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, going beyond the rules in your own whims and fancies, then some trooper is going to stop you, pull you aside, give you a couple of points, and based on the speed in which he caught you in the laser gun, your points may be 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, and so on. And when the number of points becomes 6 or 12, then you tend to end up paying surcharge, because when you drive on the road, you are basically a risk to the other drivers and other passengers in the road. And then as you pose a risk, you start paying. And based on your good deeds for a year, you do not get any points. For 2 years, you do not get any points. The number of points get reduced by 3 per year based on the rules, and eventually the entire point goes away. And then because of this, because of your acting of whimsical nature, it will eventually increase. And when you stop and start becoming a greater citizen, you tend to become nicer in your approach, and you do not become risky over a period of time. So as you can see, it's a practice. Your ability to do good is a practice. And these destination of whimsical acts are condemned by the Supreme Lord, and it cannot be used in any form or shape to perfect our life, because as we know, we become happy when our Supreme Father is happy, and our intent is to please the Supreme Father. And that works in your house, in your homes, when your father is working honestly to give happiness to the kids, when the kids see the father happy, when the kids get good grades or whatever the case may be. Grades is just an example. When the father sees the kid trying in his own way, that gives happiness. The result is a separate thing, but the ability for the kid to try more and more gives happiness. And that's the reason why we have different steps in our spiritual journey. And that's the reason why with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance coming, we take vows to increase our level of chanting, our um, sadhana, so that we end up getting better and better in and try to purify our existence. So the last point on the topic of human being is human being lives with a moral conduct. If we do not have a moral conduct, we are actually no different from an animal. If see, animals have a very they can eat from anywhere, they can sleep anywhere. For them, there is no timing, there is no cleanliness, there is no behavior, and their show of affection is often not regulated. So it is mentioned that if you do not lead your life based on certain moral values, we are having this moral conduct as a human being, because we live in a society, and whenever we deal with anybody, we have a way to talk to each other, we have a way to respect each other, we have a way to shower affection each other in a way which is as per the scriptures. So anytime we do not have the moral standing in terms of how to lead your life, how to walk, how to talk, how to eat, how to behave, then if we lose that, we end up becoming animals, which are often living for eating, mating, sleeping, and defending. So the only way we could transcend that is by following the scriptures, as Krishna is beautifully saying, Chaturvarnam Maya Shrishtam. That means he has created this society. The society is based on certain rules and regulations. And because these rules and regulations are often not followed, because of that, there is so much of chaos. Because of that, there is so much of violence. There are violences in the family as well. So because the the proprietor of the family, the so-called proprietors of the family, haven't understood the scriptures the way it should be, or they are violating the scriptures, or they are leading a life whimsically in lust, and because they do not follow the rules and regulation, the life manual, the exact manual which you spoke about in the car, we break down, our engine goes bad, our society goes bad, and that is the reason why we need, whenever the kali or the quarrel and hypocrisy goes out of bounds, then Lord appears. When Lord appears, he doesn't appear with happiness. If you think about it, whenever there is a problem, Lord, it takes a lot of challenge. When Prahlad Maharaj was tortured, it took a lot of pain, a lot of anger for the Lord to come in a way which is not very normal, in the sense he was, half lion, half man, because he's showing that he can go to any extent in saving the grace of the Lord. But we shouldn't let that happen, because he has let the manual, and we choose not to follow the manual. And because of that, Lord is forced to come again and again. Varahadev had to come, Nrsimhadev had to come, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At the time, there was absolutely no love for Godhead. People were God-fearing, and there was a lot of challenge in the 15th century. And anytime you end up saying, coming as the eighth child after the seven were lost to the parents, very sad situation. So Lord had to come at a time, because we do not follow the regulation, we do not lead a life which is based on the scriptures, and we act whimsically. So again and again, you see, anytime Lord has come for a reason, because we, as the child of the Lord, has not kept up to the manuals of life, and that prompted the Lord to come again and again and again. So in order to lead a life of perfection, happiness, liberation, our liberation is not to merge with the Lord, merge with the effulgence of the Lord, because that is like we're using the Lord to reside and merge, which is not a bhakta's way of seeing the Lord. The bhakta's way of seeing the Lord is to serve, not with the intent to liberate in that stage. Our intent is to perfect our life. That's nothing but Krishna is saying, if you want to perfect your life, you have to be more scriptural in your lifestyle, waking up, staying regulated, treating everyone with humility and respect. And with more and more we follow the scriptures, our life and lifestyle around us will get better and better and better. So in order to perfect, in order to gain happiness, in order to again exit from this material world, so that we don't come back here again and again and again in this dukhalaya saswatam, in this place which is full of misery and is temporary. We just have to lead our life based on the scriptures, by hearing scriptures, by abiding by scriptures, leading a life based on scriptures, whether it is morning 6:30 a.m. in our temple Zoom channel, or our Saturday evenings, or the weekday evenings, or whenever there is an opportunity. If we make the relationship with the scriptures more and more, the scripture will make a relationship with us, and we will go and be abide by that again and again and again. So with that, I would like to end here, but we can go on and on. But with that, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any question, comments, corrections, reflections? Let's discuss. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Any comments, Prabhuji, Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Very enlightening examples, Prabhuji, of the car not following the manual. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhuji, all this is, as Prabhupada also mentioned that in the purport, that you may do all these things and still two things are absolutely necessary, Prabhuji, which he has told. I'm just connecting with them, Prabhuji. There is a line in the purport, and Prabhuji read it, strike me, Prabhuji, that we may do all this, we may follow the scriptural injunctions, we will definitely be, but one thing is, if faith is not there, and two, so if the faith is not there, he says, I cannot help you in this world and in the spiritual world also. First of all, we won't go to the spiritual world, but neither here nor there. So most important thing to start is, Prabhuji, faith, so that we the scriptural injunctions can be followed with heart. If faith is not there, Prabhuji, we, as you have rightly told, we may follow, being the son of a Brahmana, we may do Brahmanical things, but at our heart we may not be a Brahmana, right? So that faith in the system, which which basically goes to the immediately faith in the God. Basically, if we have faith in the God, automatically we'll have faith in the system, and we will try to follow the system. And second point which I want to tell is, Prabhuji, as you were mentioning Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we don't follow these, I thought is related to this verse. We had some apasampradayas coming up, Prabhuji, came up that time, because they were trying to do their own interpretations, and they were trying to deviate from what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has actually taught us. Similarly, what Krishna has taught in the Bhagavad Gita, as Prabhupada has many times told, that we make different interpretations of the Bhagavad Gita, and we try to go. So we have to have the realization of the sampradaya also, Prabhuji. Otherwise, we may bring our own sampradaya, like as you have mentioned, we may deviate from the standards also. So the faith and following this is what I wanted to just my reflection when we were reading the purport.
Thank you, Prabhu. So you mentioned two things, Prabhu, very nice points, in the sense that faith is a thing which is which has to be there everywhere. Otherwise, when you wake up, there is a lot of uncertainty. You may not reach your office. You have faith with the fact that your car can take you from A to B, and there we are relying on a mechanical thing. And if you look at the car and the mechanical parts it has, there is too many points of failure. If you think about the transmission can go bad. You know, I was going once, and all of a sudden on that day, it was 4th of February. It was, if you remember, 4 weeks back, it was very, very cold. It was the Arctic blast in New Jersey. And all of a sudden, the car is 160,000 miles. And all of a sudden, I got 3-4 check engine lights. And if you read those check engine lights, it's not in a drivable situation. And get some oxygen sensor changed, this, that. So there is a lot of situations which can truly go wrong in our life, and we rely on the mechanical things. We rely on our fridge, we rely on our washing machine, but we do not rely on the true item or the artifact which can give us happiness, which is essentially the scriptures. and the way in which it was written thousands and thousands of years ago. Because at that time, people were really bright. People had truly great consciousness. So the consciousness in which Vyasadeva wrote is probably a million times better. Their memory, their ability to do right, wrong, the ability to rationalize, they were 100% right. Now there is absolutely, so with more and more Kali Yuga in place, the faith you mentioned, if it is not more and more and more and more, it is going to make our life less and less and less important. And yes, Upasampradaya, every time God has to come, there has been prior Upasampradaya before 13th, 14th century. I remember it's also mentioned in the scriptures. They they dug a pond in certain parts of eastern India, and they found they found the deities of Radha Krishna. But it was so much Apasapradaya that they started to spread the news that these are all the deities of some goddess, and people started following it. And because of that, the Radha Krishna Murti, instead of offering prayers at Radha Krishna, they started offering to that Murti prayers of various goddesses. So when we have Apasampradayas, they create their own yardstick, and it gives you a totally bad impression or a wrong impression, incorrect impression about the 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 supreme truth. And we have to be always on alert on those two things: grow our faith, and secondly, have no respite, or we have to stay away from Apasampradayas. Otherwise, we'll go in a totally wrong direction, which was intended, or as it was prescribed by our founder Acharya. So thank you for adding these 2 points.
So that's why, Prabhuji, we should not try to, Prabhupada always told that don't try to interpret these with your mundane intelligence. We have to understand this through the eyes and the intelligence of the Guru basically, because they have seen that path, and if we surrender to them, we will get the right perspective, Prabhuji, because it's a perspective always.
Yes.
Right? So right perspective, Prabhuji. So then the Apasampradaya chance will be less, Prabhuji. If we go through a Guru, and of course the Guru has to be realized and needs to be in a disciplic succession, Prabhuji. Yeah. Foremost is.
Yeah. So, if you rely too much on the WhatsApp University once or twice, you must have heard, you'll hear, Ravana kidnapping Mother Sita had to do with, Lakshman cutting the nose of Suparnakha. And because of that, he did the right thing because his sister his nose was cut by Lakshman. That is why we should always resort to somebody who can guide us in our life, who can tell us what is right or wrong. And the way that WhatsApp message was written, it appears if somebody who has no idea about the moral conduct we discussed today, or the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Ram, he will say, yeah, what he did is right. What Ravana did is right. But that is exactly where we need the right perspective from a realized soul to really guide us in the right direction. Okay, bro. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Any other comments?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine, Prabhuji. I am coming on 20th April.
Okay, Prabhu.
So if you need anything, kindly let me know.
Yes, bro. So is it getting hot in Gujarat?
Yes, started hot, yes.
Yeah. So keep take care of your health, and by the time you come back, you're coming back right before the before Nrsimha Chaturdasi and Rath Yatra season, so we'll have a good association.
Yes,
Prabhu. Yeah.
yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other comments from anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank
Thank you for the class. Like discussed, like there are different interpretations of our religion. So there are so if we go out and say we don't eat onion garlic, there are many people who sort of drill down as to why. So do you really need to engage in a conversation to convince them, or do you just know that you are on, like, do you just look to correct your own life, or do you also try to put in time to try and explain why you are doing such things?
Yeah, so good question, bro. So what happens, right? We have two reasons essentially why we don't eat onion garlic. The first reason is that these are all tamasic food, which gives you the kind of consciousness which is not favorable for Krishna consciousness. That's because it's tamasic. The second reason is it has references to Rahu and Ketu and how they were born, and that's why you have a very demoniac thing, and because there are certain things which have aroused from it. So having said that, we have this conviction, right? But what happens is when you live in a family or a society, we have others who are not Krishna consciousness. They're not following Krishna consciousness, or they don't aspire to. So they will always give the example of, garlic is good for heart. If garlic is good for heart, beetroot is good for heart. So, and there are situations where certain animal products are good at heart. So we're not. So there are some preconceived notions, and sometimes what happens, Prabhu, if people love you, if the family member loves you or relative loves you, they will go out of the way to accommodate you. But what is happening nowadays is it is becoming more like, how to control the other member of the family member. So that is often the case as to who can be the leader in that thing. So sometimes what happens, Prabhu, it doesn't make sense to convince others if that is going to take the person away from Krishna consciousness, because you are representing Krishna consciousness in your family or in your society. If there is some items which are onion garlic, you can stay away. But to the person, like it is mentioned, that it is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada also, that if Krishna consciousness, you should not hear Krishna consciousness from non-Krishna consciousness persons, because there is that element of poison. If there is wonderful milk and it is touched by the tongue of a snake, it has already been poisoned. So even if it looks great, it's better to stay away. And likewise, if as a representative of Krishna consciousness, you are not favorably able to explain, it will basically take them away from Krishna consciousness, what I've found. So when they don't listen to you, I've asked that question to some of my Shiksha Gurus, and they say, because they have lived with you for so long, they will never listen to you, because they, in their minds, cannot conceive that you are spiritually inclined, you're able to detach and you are improving and so on. So, I mean, it's not because they are envy, it is because familiarity breed contempt. It's because it's a human nature. You cannot think of somebody who lived with you and is now dead. So what they say is to often take help from our brahmacharis near your temple, near your house. If you have a ISKCON temple, brahmacharis or sannyasis, you hold a program. When they come, this is a great example of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, before coming 1965 to US, he did Back to Godhead. People didn't listen. He translated in English. People didn't listen. He came here, started ISKCON. Then he went back to Pandal programs in Bombay. 4 or 5 years later, people started listening. So when others come to our house and they explain Krishna consciousness, the reason why onion garlic should be avoided in our life because it is a deterrent in our spiritual progress, then they will listen. So 2 or 3 things. Taking head on is not going to help. At the same time, if you really want benefit of them, you should invite some persons who they will listen, do a home program, read through some scriptures, ask them to recite. When they will listen, from them, they will align. Does that help, Prabhu?
Very much, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot for detailed answer.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. To Rohit Prabhuji's question, I want to give another perspective. Is that, Prabhuji, it's a science, Prabhuji. We have to go and explain. It is up to them whether they want to follow it or not. But because Rohit Prabhu asked whether should we keep it to ourselves or no, we should try to propagate, Prabhuji, the message.
Definitely.
That's our duty as a Krishna conscious person, to propagate the message. So we should, that's why Bhakti Charu Maharaj always says, Prabhuji, of course, all Guru Maharaj say that don't keep the Krishna consciousness to your practice only. Spread it, let others also take the advantage of it. It's a gift which you can give, Prabhuji. So we should explain, Prabhuji, and it's up to them to take or not, but we should not be shy of explaining.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly. So the 2 reasons we should explain are the tamasic angle and the Rahu Ketu angle, which is also in scriptures. If you Google it, you'll find it. And if you have additional, I would like to hear that as well, because I want to also make myself equipped with those points. But don't give the gift which because what is happening, there is a lot of ego clashes happening within the family, this, that. So we should kind of try to avoid that, Prabhu. Okay.
By Amarendra Prabhu, there is one hour, I think more than an hour, on why onion and garlic, Prabhuji. We can listen to that. That will give greater insights right from the beginning of time and the progress of the empires, how that will give a clear picture that why onion garlic, science, shastra, everything, history, everything combined, Prabhuji, just for knowledge, I was telling, since the context came.
Yeah. Amarendra Prabhu is a wonderful speaker, and he brings the scriptural context very nicely. And you can share that. You can share those videos. I think I can also share it in the group. I saw it not long back, and
Right.
that will be very nice, Prabhu.
Sure, I'll share the link, Prabhuji. Even if they know, we'll share in the link, whoever like to. Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I joined late today. I have a question. So basically, the trust, right, which we discussed earlier about the trust part. So basically, when I generally, talk about the Bhagavad Gita to some of my friends, they don't have trust. They are saying that, so whatever is there in Gita, is it like the same thing like, the uh, Krishna told to Arjuna? So I mean, like they are not believing, the scriptures that is written, right? So I mean, those people, how they can trust? I mean, like I told them that let's say you are traveling in a plane, okay? Do you trust the flight who will fly the flight? You trust and you sit at the flight, right? So that thing I explained him, but still they are kind of very much they don't believe whatever is written is is true or so. How to like those people? How to convince them like?
Yeah, so very nice question. So what happens, Prabhu, over a period of life after life after life, everybody has gone through different kind of conditioning. Some people, why they become criminals? They become criminals because they have no faith in the system. So, and it's not as if you had the faith of, I mean, I had even the faith of Bhagavad Gita right from the beginning. A lot of people have come through different journeys. So we just have to be patient with them. And they don't see, there are certain things when you teach maths, there are certain things the kid doesn't catch immediately. It takes a bit of time, and a time he or she catches the mathematics formula, this, that, and all, then he goes on to. So because the conditioning of that person you're referring to in your who you interacted, they have not been through the association of the devotees, or they have not gone through the pain of the material world. That it So what happens is everybody is subjected to certain conditioning, and because of 2 or 3 reasons, they don't get Bhagavad Gita. First, of the conditioning. The second and the most important thing is the kripa. If you think about the mercy of the Lord, Krishna chose to reveal himself to whoever he wants to reveal himself. What I mean by that is, if Krishna's mercy on that person is not there, however you try, it is not going to make him believe. So that's why it is mentioned. You can try. You should definitely gift him the Bhagavad Gita. If English is something he's not attracting, give a Bhagavad Gita from our temple in his language. A time will come. It will be in the bookshelf. A time will come. He will go through certain situations, and he will pick up the book, and that may change his life. So, a couple of things. Give the gift of Krishna consciousness during Gita Jayanti or any festival. Give a gift. That gift Prabhuji was mentioning. Give it away. Let him have it. Give a free gift, because you are a well-wisher. Invite him to our temple programs. Invite him to our, Shravan festival, whenever we have wonderful speakers, Lal Govind Prabhu, Amarendra Prabhu, Maharaj come. They just are very, very powerful speakers. And gradually, a time will come when he goes through a torrent of life, because everybody's life doesn't go straight forward. A time will come when that book in his shelf, which you had gifted, will change his life. And for that, we have to pray. And what I'm saying, it has happened to many people. In Australia, people have gone through suicidal tendencies. Before the suicidal tendency, they resort to this book, which is there, and they read it. And in one night, they finish it. And that changes their life. Okay, bro?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Yeah, I have already given the Bhagavad Gita to him. He's reading.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any
But you
other?
can continue, Prabhuji. You can continue to talk to them. You should not be shy of being, since they are not listening, it's no use. If that was the case, then ISKCON would not have been there, Prabhuji. Because when Prabhupada came, he was dealing with a totally different kind of people, right?
Yeah.
So if we should strive, Prabhuji. That's what Rohit Prabhu and you, Prabhuji, I'm telling. We should strive. As Jagannath Prabhu told, when Krishna's mercy is there, everything will be revealed to them, Prabhuji. It is the revelation. Maybe it's not the time for them to reveal. Maybe as circumstances come, it will be revealed to them. And that depends upon different factors, Prabhuji. So you can continue, Prabhuji. Even you think if they are not getting convinced, no worries, Prabhuji. We'll keep trying.
And when the person who is not convinced, he, after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, he understands the supreme science. And at that time, he will realize Niranjan Prabhu, his friend, was trying to tell him the simple thing, but he was not understanding. A situation had to come, and more time he spends in you trying for him, he will realize that why he has wasted that time in the past. And that realization, once he sets, it will be a full total interest realization, full of interest, that regret that why he didn't join early, understand it early. So you do your duty, and whenever when you do your duty, do it with the intent that you're trying to benefit him. So what is happening in ISKCON also, sometimes people may be trying to push something. It is not. Yeah. So give him a true honest, as a well-wisher. Krishna is the greatest well-wisher of everyone. Become a well-wisher with true intent to help him in his life, and that will definitely be very advantageous.
I'll give one simple example, Puji. In my personal case, I will share with you. We were distributing Prabhupada's books, Prabhuji, especially Bhagavad Gita. So some of the mentors, I don't remember, Prabhuji, in our congregation itself, they told that Prabhupada, that seems told, even if they touch the Bhagavad Gita, the effect will be so potent, Prabhuji. So if you're speaking from that Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna and Prabhupada has revealed to us through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there will be potency in that, Prabhuji. Don't think it goes wasted. At some point of time, place, and circumstance, it will be revealed. So that is I just want to tell you the potency of it, Prabhuji. There are many people who, just by the thought of it or the look of it, they will get the mercy later at some point of time. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Yoga Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Any other comments or clarification? So we have one of the biggest celebration of the year, which is the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu coming up. Gaur Purnima Maha Mahotsav ki Jai.
Jai.
So Monday is the appearance day, is Purnima. On this beautiful Purnima day, Gaur Purnima day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared under a neem tree, and he was named Nimai from there. And his pastimes were exemplary, and he was none other than the Krishna himself. So there are a lot of celebrations tomorrow. There is drama, beautiful spiritual drama. in the temple. There are dance programs, devotional dance programs, nice prasadam. And day after tomorrow is the day on which, the day after tomorrow, Monday, is the Purnima day, and there are vows, there are Shiksha vows. So there is a link which is sent, Google Form links. So you fill up the links based on how many rounds you want to chant, if you want to increase it. And in front of the Lordships on Monday evening, there will be Siksha vows in which you go and take the vows so that we can give you a certificate, because we have this program in ISKCON where during Gaur Purnima, there is reposition of faith in our sadhana, in trying to make it better and better and better over a period of time. So please take benefit of that. Fill up the form which I shared in the group. Come to the temple on Monday evening. Take the vows. When the announcement is there, your name will be called with a certificate. So please fill up the Google form which I sent in the WhatsApp group. And there are big festivities. This is the time. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. That means there is no difference between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha and Krishna. So we can talk more and more about his pastimes, about Shikshtastakam, the 8 verses he wrote through which we should lead our life, the humility and so many other things. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 537 years ago on this day, around this time. And he spread the Nam Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy name. And because of that, because Krishna is there in the name in this age of Kali, and just by chanting the holy name, you are basically reposing and reconfiguring your relationship with the Supreme Krishna. So please take advantage of this wonderful festival. Because when you think about it, your child, or whenever you do the first birthday, second birthday, by the time it's third birthday, fourth birthday, there is no enthusiasm. But Lord's birthday, whether it's Gaur Purnima, Ram Navami, Snan Yatra, Janmashtami, Radhastami, the power of the Supreme Divine Personality's appearance day is always a recharging moment in our life. So please take to it in a way which is going to help us in our sadhana. Okay? Any other questions or announcement you want to say or ask? All right. If you have any questions, so please share to us, and there'll be more information. So with that, I'd like to end here by praying at the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpataruvascha kripa sindhu cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Jai.